Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains episode review. This time, we will be reviewing episode 74 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, the first part of the duel between Go, Onizuka, and the Earth Ignis. What did I think about the episode, generally speaking? I really enjoyed it. They took Go's character in a direction that I really did not think they were going to take his character, which we will be getting more into probably actually towards the beginning of the review. That's the main talking point that I want to discuss, why I think it was actually a really good direction for his character. I'm obviously concerned about his well-being, as I think most people should be. But yeah, we're going to get into that in just a second. The episode premise is basically just the main objective is to find the Water Ignis and the Earth Ignis, Aqua and Earth. And we learn very early in this episode that Aqua was indeed trapped and taken away from the whole destroying the Cyberse world event by Lightning, which is who I immediately thought. I was very confident that it was Lightning who captured Aqua. The second we got that episode summary, that was my prediction. I think it was a fairly obvious prediction, if I'm going to be honest with you, and it's exactly what happened. Lightning took Aqua out of the equation because he wanted to not only have someone to blame it on, which we saw him try to blame Aqua when he was convincing that maybe Aqua knew who destroyed the Cyberse world. It would get him out of the spotlight if Aqua just, randomly and mysteriously disappeared as if she was protecting herself and knew that the Cyberse world was going to be destroyed right before the world was destroyed. And not only that, but he knew that the Earth Ignis would follow in Aqua's footsteps, and so if there was no Aqua in the picture, it would probably be easier to convince the Earth Ignis to join the fight against humanity. We also see Aqua's ability in action, that she can tell the difference between truth and lies. When Aqua walks in on Lightning creating that magic card, Judgment Arrows, Lightning says, oh, it's going to be so that humans can't destroy the Cyberse world. That's not the case. The real purpose is that it's going to be to destroy the Cyberse world, and so we immediately see Aqua's eyes go a different color, because again, her ability is that she can tell the difference between truths and lies. So seeing that ability in action was really, really cool, and Aqua just says, I sense a really disturbing presence in you. And Lightning realizes, all right, sorry, you've seen too much, you know too much, gotta take you out of the picture. And so he puts Aqua in this little jail cell where she probably was in that jail, you have to imagine, since the show began, right? Since when the Cyberse world was destroyed, well, actually, Cyberse world was destroyed beginning of season 2, right? So beginning of season 2, but Aqua's probably been in that jail cell for a pretty long time, and Earth, of course, the Ignis, it's not like they have to eat or anything, so it's not like she's gonna starve in there or anything, but I'm sure it gets pretty lonely, and Earth is her knight in shining armor, saves Aqua, they go off, and then we see Go challenge them to a duel. Soulburner has gone a little too far away from the scene, so he can't get to the scene. Playmaker says, okay, I'm in the area, I can at least, go and see what's about to happen. In regards to the duel between this, at first it was a guy in a cloaked outfit, so we didn't really know who it was, but I mean, I'm sure most of us knew it was Go and Earth throws Aqua off of the board, which I thought was hilarious, and Go actually goes after Aqua because he says he wants to go after the weaker one first. So if that's any implication that Aqua is not as good of a duelist, not sure how Go would know that or have that insight, but maybe because Aqua was the one that needed saving, he feels that she is the weaker one out of the two. Maybe it's not in regards to her dueling abilities, but I thought that was kind of interesting if we want to take Go's word for truth and for accuracy there, that Aqua might not be as good of a duelist as Earth and the other Ignis, and so he starts to challenge Earth to a duel. Now again, I'm going to go into Go's character and what they've done with him very, very in-depth in a little bit. I also just want to point out that Akira met up with Playmaker, or Yusaku actually, which I thought was really cool. Yusaku used this voice modulator to disguise his voice. You also had Homura there as backup watching from one of the warehouse roofs. So this might have been the same warehouse, by the way, that Yusaku got the Cyberse deck, which that would be a little cool reference there if that's the case. So that was cool, that whole interaction. And Akira, again, they keep hinting that Playmaker's going to lose, right? Akira then goes to Emma and his sister and says, if Playmaker loses, the worst possible result you could think of might happen. And I just feel like every time they say if Playmaker loses, they're hinting at him eventually losing. At least that's the feeling that I get. Maybe I'm a little too naive to think that Playmaker will actually lose during this show, but I thought that was interesting. Maybe it wasn't foreshadowing. Maybe it was just Akira literally making an obvious statement. But Aoi does something very interesting, which I think has shown her bravery and courage as a character and her maturity, as Emma said. As this duel is going on, Aoi realizes how important having both of these neutral Ignis on the human side is going to be in the upcoming war, and so she says, you know what, I'm useless here, I'm going to go into Link VRains, which I also think is a pretty good parallel to how she feels as a character, how she feels very to herself and maybe a little bit worthless in the real world, whereas in Link VRains, she's this idle, larger-than-life human being. So I thought that was, again, she almost feels like she needs to be in Link VRains to be useful, which is obviously not the case or a great way of thinking, but in this case, it's absolutely accurate. Watching this duel on a computer screen really isn't going to make a big difference in the whole scheme of things. And so Emma lets her go into the VRains, and Aoi goes into the VRains as Blue Girl. Will Blue Girl meet up with the Aqua Ignis, with the Water Ignis? That is going to be very, very interesting to keep an eye on these next couple of episodes, and I'm going to be making a prediction for the Go and Earth duel and where the show is going to go after that duel concludes towards the end of this video. But now, let's get to Go Onizuka's new character change. He is a much more lifeless and emotionless human being than we have ever seen him. He is unhealthy, not only mentally unhealthy, clearly obsessing over defeating Playmaker, and it's almost like his only purpose now in life, he feels, is to defeat Playmaker and to rise over humanity's domain, which I think was a very interesting line. And I think it, going to his brain scan, which was his new ability, he uses this brain scan ability, and his eyes kind of look a little robotic. And to be honest, I think when he was in that simulator versing Playmaker, and Soul Technologies was maybe running experiments on him. Remember, Soul Technologies created the Ignis. I genuinely believe that they implanted some sort of artificial intelligence in Go, and that's why Go, when he says, I'm going to rise over humanity's domain, or surpass humanity, very similar lines to what the Ignis say all the time, that they are going to surpass humanity, that they have surpassed humanity, and they are humanity's successors. So there's almost a parallel there between this new version of Go and the evil Ignis. And so I just wonder if Soul Technologies, especially Queen, because Queen was the one that overrode Akira and gave the green light for Go to leave, even though his testing wasn't complete or he wasn't fully recovered, as Akira said, to go after Earth and Aqua, to go after the remaining Ignis. I wonder if Soul Technologies also planted a little bit of artificial intelligence in Go's mind, and that's what that whole brain scan thing was about. You know, not sure. That's just kind of a theory that I have. That was a very interesting moment in the show. And Go has completely, as I just said, mentally deteriorated, and he has physically deteriorated. And I think that's probably the more concerning thing here, because when you think of Go, you think of a guy who goes to the gym. You think of a guy who is ripped, one of the healthiest characters probably in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh universe. And now you look at him and you can see in his face that he has lost a really dangerous amount of weight. In his body, in his biceps, he has lost a dangerous amount of weight. And when you think of someone who works out often, a lot of times associated with working out is healthy eating. Go is probably not working out. He's probably not eating at all. Forget healthy foods. He's probably not eating at all. So Go's state right now, physically and mentally, should be very, very concerning. And this is a human being who has just completely cracked under the spotlight and under the pressure, which I think, again, is a very realistic way of demonstrating through Yu-Gi-Oh! What happens to a decent amount of celebrities. The spotlight, I mean, Go is the number one spotlight in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. He is the number one celebrity with the spotlight, I should say, in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, in Link VRains. He was the number one duelist at one point, and so he had the world. And the second that you are a celebrity that makes one mistake, in this case it was Go losing to Playmaker, and all of a sudden, you know, he can't get a win. He loses to Revolver. Now he loses to Soulburner. When you make one mistake, it's bad, and the press and the media rips you for it, which we actually saw at the beginning of Season 2. When you make multiple mistakes, which, keep in mind, winning and losing in duels, that is equal to like tweeting a really nasty thing as a celebrity. I mean, that's basically what it is, or making a really stupid statement as a celebrity. Wins and losses when you are a charisma duelist is everything. It's not, I mean, you could say that entertaining the crowd is also very important, but clearly based on how the media treated him and how he lost his #1 charisma duelist status, winning and losing is much more important than entertaining the crowd, at least from the public eyes perspective. And so Go, who cannot buy a win right now, the entire show he hasn't been able to buy a win. He beat Gnome, and that I think is his only win the entire show. He has lost it. He has been ripped by the press. He has been deserted, and he doesn't have any support. He has no family. He probably has no friends. I mean, we haven't really even seen his manager around, but I wonder if his manager disbanded with him because he was losing duels, or if he just got rid of his manager, because his manager, who seemed to be one of his closest friends as well, is nowhere to be seen in Season 2. So he has no emotional support. He's not strong enough right now because of everything that's happened to help himself, and clearly he needs someone to help him, and he just doesn't have that support. And so what's the result of not having enough emotional support around you and enough courage and self-confidence within yourself? It's this result. It's mentally obsessing over one goal, which you think is going to fix everything, which honestly, after he defeats Playmaker, is that even going to fix things? Probably not. It's not being able to eat, not being able to work out and do the things that you love. When you stop being able to do the things that you love, that is a huge red flag, a huge, huge red flag. And that is clearly what is happening and being demonstrated through Go right now. So I like how they doubled down with his character. I did not think they would ever do that. I did not think his character would go this insane in terms of just losing his grip on reality to a point where he's not even able to eat anymore. I'm obviously very concerned about his well-being, and hopefully someone gets through to him soon and shows him the support that he needs. He said after his loss to Soulburner, which was really the last time that we saw him, you can either do two things after you lose. It's one of my favorite quotes, actually, in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. You can either use your defeat to springboard you to become a better person, or you can let the defeat rot you from your core. Which one will you choose? And clearly, the defeat against Soulburner, Go let it rot him to his core. And unfortunately, the Go that we once knew, this strong, physically and mentally and entertaining duelist, has completely flipped into a dull duelist who only wants to win, and into a character who is very unhealthy mentally and physically. And you definitely, at least for me, I definitely feel really bad for him, especially in the preview for 75. Geez, he looks really, really bad. He needs to get a grip on things. He needs to get some help. He needs to get some food in his stomach, and hopefully Go is okay after it's all said and done. This is not the first time we've seen someone kind of starve themselves, whether intentionally or not. Kyodu in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, after he was thrown into jail, he starved himself literally to death to become a dark signer, and his eyes, you can see right here, his face right before he died from starvation is very similar to the look and the face that Go now has in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. So I'm not sure if they maybe tapped into that a little bit, but this is not the first time Yu-Gi-Oh! Has done something with starving yourself to, in Kyodu's case, to death, and hopefully Go will get, again, help, and he will be okay. The way I see this playing out, I actually think that Go is going to defeat Earth. I really do believe he's going to defeat Earth. Blue Angel, or Blue Girl, is going to join forces with Aqua, and we will see our matchup between Aoi Zaizen and Go Onizuka, two of the first three characters, the two characters besides the main character that were introduced to us at the start of the show, before the show even began. It's a duel that I wanted to see in the early stages of VRains. If they pull it out of the hat now, I would absolutely love it. And it's a chance maybe for Blue Girl, for Aoi Zaizen, to be the one to not only get a huge win, but to be the one to save Go and to get through to Go. How great would that be for her character? So I'm hoping that's the direction it goes in. Maybe Earth is going to win this, though. It's a very tough to predict duel, but I could talk for another 20 minutes about Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, about anything regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys know that, so I am going to cut myself off because I think this review is getting a little bit on the longer side. But please let me know all your thoughts regarding this episode, episode 74. Let me know what you think about Go's character. Let me know what you think about the early stages of this duel, and just any predictions you have going forward. Special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, and James Rose, and to my Diamond tier patron Bouldergeist, and to my Egyptian God tier patron Syn Cloud and Odd Eyes Vaughn. Huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. Cannot tell you how much it helps me out, and a huge thank you to everyone who just watches my videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. I will talk to you down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.